Okay, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. My name is Savio, and today I'm going to be talking about the opioid epidemic. I have my guest here. His name is Jaden. He also makes music. Graduated class of what class?
2017.
Alright. From Northrop. So, we're going to talk about how the opioid epidemic affects various communities in our society today, and what some ways could be on how we could fix this problem or start to counteract this problem. So I really think the only difference between I think the only difference between medicine and poison is the dosage, because a small dose of like a pain reliever can help, but anything over that could cause crazy side effects and damage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anybody who's went through stuff like that, like overdosed or anything like that?
Got like addicted to drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone I used to go to school with. I ain't gonna say his name or nothing. And but I'm pretty sure he didn't know why he started doing them. But after a while, he just kept finding himself doing them. Like, the more situations he went through, and the more pain he went through and stuff like that. And then he just got hooked onto them, and they kind of changed him. Like, he felt like he needed them.
He became dependent on them?
Yeah, he depended on them. The stuff he was doing for him wasn't cool at all.
Could you give me some examples of stuff he was? You say he was doing stuff to get a hold of opioids and pills and shit.
Yeah, even if he didn't have no money, he would just hit somebody up for him and just take them.
Really?
Yeah.
He go to the extreme of robbing people and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So that means that he felt he needed it so badly that he went the farthest he could go to attain them. So this shows that how powerful these are and how powerful of an effect they have on your mind in becoming dependent on them.
I feel like they also have an effect on people's bodies too. Because I noticed a lot of people who get hooked on opioids or something, they'll probably lose a lot of weight, or they're you can see in their face they always kind of look tired.
Yeah.
Kind of
out of it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So about 130 people die in America a day from overdosing on opioids, and this stuff really started in the late 1990s when pharmaceutical companies and opioid companies assured the medical community in America that people wouldn't become addicted to them, and then so they started prescribing them more, and then this led to a nationwide problem of people misusing them and being addicted to them and starting to overdose. And then it started to grow, and now we see around here, especially with us growing up in our generation, it's become a huge problem around school, and it's affecting the younger generation.
Because it's a trend now. Because they hear all the rappers and stuff, and their favorite artists doing them in their music and on their videos and stuff like that, and they want to be like that, or at least try it.
Yeah, I do think music, everything, all this media and music, it has a huge effect on people. It seems with music, the late or early 2010s, it kind of became more of a drug culture. You feel me?
And it's crazy because there's a lot of rappers who don't even really do it. They know that's what their fans want to hear, and they know that's kind of the wave now, and they're getting paid for it. So it's might as well act like I'm doing it. Future, he doesn't even do the drugs he talks about, but he said since he gets paid for it, then.
So how do you feel about that when it comes to people doing it for the money or doing it because?
I feel because Future, he's low-key one of my favorite artists.
Mm-hmm.
And when I seen him say that, I was Dang, that's crazy. Because like you would think he'd be like the way he talks about it, you would think he'd be like a drug addict or something, but he's not. And like for the money is crazy because he doesn't. I'm pretty sure he's aware of how many kids and stuff look up to him. But it's like you're influencing kids to do bad things.
Yeah.
But then you got rappers like Lil Wayne who really do it, and they do it because that's how they grew up and they love doing it. So when it comes to like people coming at them for like influencing other kids, they really just like, I don't know, it's kind of like they don't blame themselves for that.
Yeah, it's like they're just putting themselves on the track. They're just expressing their lives. So it's like just how we're taking it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of it has to do with what's being put out to the masses. It's not really hip hop itself. It's I think it's really just what's being put out to us and what's being promoted to us.
Yeah.
And especially now because they say in 2017 there were about 47,000 deaths by overdose related to opioids in America alone. And also in 2017, 1.7 million people were recorded to suffer from some form of substance abuse involving opioids. So like, there's no question that this is like an emergency, a national emergency, and it's affecting the youth. But so we already talked about how music can be a way for people to get like involved with this. There's also like in construction, and my dad told me about this firsthand. Like people will be having like body pains, and then they go get prescribed like opioids, and then they start taking more, and then they become dependent on them, and it gets worse. And I have some family members, like I have a cousin out in Michigan. He became addicted to them, and then he overdosed on them, and like he died in his sleep because he didn't have control over his body. So like, this is when I was first, but I was too young to understand what this was. I just knew he was, they say, addicted, you feel me? And then I have like more family here that's like relapsing and stuff, but it started in like construction. So it seems like it starts out as something that's not bad, you feel me? People are just using it as a medicine, but it's something about this medicine that's not right. That people are becoming addicted to it too much.
And that's crazy you say that, because I know someone who like, they say they have knee pain, so they have like a bunch of opioids like put up, and they just take them all the time. But they don't just take like a little dose of them; they take a large dosage of them.
Yeah, I feel like like people it's so easy and it happens so fast, and we can all know of somebody, no matter where we come from, what type of person we are, how much money we have in our background. Is somebody addicted to it. And we often see it even in the upper class communities, predominantly in the white community. This affects a lot of people. So this isn't something that's just affecting like the urban youth, like how most problems are, you feel me? This is like a nationwide class thing. This is something that affects everybody. So like, I think we need to come up with solutions. And I think one solution I'm thinking that we can come up with is offer like newer and safer methods to treat pain. Like instead of prescribing opioids, there's like so many more things that can ease stuff such as pain and chronic pain and inflammation. Like a lot of natural stuff such as like turmeric, fish oil, physical therapy, and like CBD oil now is becoming like really popular. All these natural things can help just as efficiently, and I think that like if we do that, they're not really addictive, so there's healthy alternatives, and it would also cost less money for people, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like I feel like, because I don't know why, but this day and age there's like a lot of kids out here who's depressed, but there's actually some people who get like prescribed opioids for being depressed, when really like you can just have more healthy alternatives. Like people don't, like, even working out 30 minutes a day prevents depression. Yeah. People don't know that, like
sunlight.
Just little stuff like that.
Yeah, I think people are just like, that mental health plays a large role into this addiction, you feel me? And like that mental health, just like people who have mental health issues or deal with that are more like likely to be fall victim to this type of stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like, we all know like there's more natural ways, and I think that each patient should be like evaluated, and they should be offered much more safer and natural ways before like trying to go to these like methods. And people think that it might take more effort, and it's like it's less like, it's more time consuming, but at the end product is way more healthy, I think, you know?
Yeah.
Another way I think that could help is that like we need to better educate the youth and get people's minds stronger so they're less likely to fall victim to this. So like, I think every decision we make is based off our knowledge, and it's based off a reaction to something that we're faced with. So like, unless someone is taking opioids to like purposefully like hurt themselves, then they must have been either ignorant to the dangers of them or like misinformed by a friend or a doctor. Mm-hmm. So like, we all got these lessons in school about how they come in and they tell us not to do drugs and all this stuff, but obviously it's not working. It's not making a huge change because the problem's still growing. So I feel like the key to like educating minds is repetition, relevance, and knowledge of one's mental health. So like, I feel like we should be aware of, first of all, like I feel like we should be aware of how we feel inside at a young age and how to deal with emotions. So like, the human brain is most moldable in its adolescent years. So it's crucial that we implement like learning about this stuff at a young age because like, yeah, I feel like the young minds are very like craftable, you know, moldable.
And I know there's like a lot of kids who just like, they don't really know how to get stuff off their chest, and they just bottle it all in, and like their only way of like, they think they're letting it go by trying opioids or even drinking alcohol, but they're not. It's just all gonna build up, and then like one day all that's gonna build up, and one day they're just gonna like probably like lash out on somebody innocent, probably like just like cuss them out because they have so much stuff built up, and it's gonna be over something little, probably most likely, because they don't know how to express their feelings and get it off their chest.
Yeah, like they don't know how to properly cope with pain or anything. Yeah, that's
or probably
true.
don't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah, that's true also. It seems like with this new generation, we have the internet to connect us, but it also disconnects us because we're not face to face a lot, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people don't get time, they're too busy. They don't go out and chill outside or like link up with their friends anymore because they're so like they're trying to be on social media a lot. It's kind of taking up their natural lives, and like not going outside and getting that natural light or interacting with other human beings takes away a lot, you know. That's like essential for our existence. And 80% of the thoughts that we have are subconscious, and like subconscious thoughts are what affects how we engage the world and like the decisions we make and our moods and what kind of habits we do. So like, I feel like the base and the foundation of a good life is to have a healthy and a good mindset. So like, there's a couple like components that can go into this. So like, we need to have them aware at a young age. So then this brings me to like relevance and repetition. Now, we all know that like, if someone's not engaged, like we're all in school and stuff, or we're in school. If you're not engaged or interested in something, we're not gonna do good in it. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like when they're trying to teach us about drugs and opioids, they're not engaging us, and they're not like putting in enough effort to relate it to us. They're bringing in somebody that can't relate to us, like an old person or somebody that don't got nothing to do with us, trying to make us make a change in something that's new. You feel me? Mm-hmm. That's not gonna work. And like, we need to maintain the engagement of people and like making sure that they understand that this is important to their lives because it affects everything around them, whether or not they partake in consuming opioids. And we have to consistently teach it and consistently keep it in people's minds. Like, I think we just need dedicated people like teachers or students or volunteers or anybody in interest in fighting this epidemic to just put forth effort into the youth at a young age, because then I think it'll greatly like impact people, because a lot of how people live their lives is planted in there while they're a child, you know?
Yeah. Probably like seeing a lot of stuff going on in their household.
Yeah.
Probably seeing their parents do it or someone around them do it.
Yeah, that's real.
So they feel like they need to do it.
Yeah, they feel like it's normal. Like they feel like
it's normal.
That's how you see with a lot of like alcoholic parents, or a lot of like people who beat their kids, or a lot of people who like do certain patterns. Like if they're I don't know, like the apple don't fall too far from the tree. You know? Yeah. With a lot of things, but now like we're starting to think more for ourselves, so it's like more up to us now whether or not, like how we live our lives, you know. We're smart enough to realize when something's not good for us. I think it's just like the conscious decision, and peer pressure plays a lot into that, you know. People fall into peer pressure, the homies asking you to just try this, just do that. I feel like one last like solution to this problem that could make a change is like to establish, like if we can't throw opioids out the window all in all, I think that we should establish like a guide on how many opioids or how much opioids should be prescribed to each person, like individually based on their cases, you know. So like they see somebody, if they got pain, they see how bad it is and how long they would need before that pain is treated, and then like make sure that it's like a more strict guide, so doctors can have like a way to do this. Because when opioids began to be prescribed in greater numbers, the sales quadrupled in the late 1990s, and then resulting in the overdoses also quadrupling. So we know there's a huge correlation in between how many are going out and how many people are affected by this. So we know that opioids are dangerous either way, because like if they're being prescribed in greater numbers, they're going to be misused. We can see that in the statistical data. So now we can determine that like if they're going to be put out, then they need to be put out in a more efficient, sophisticated, and in a manner that wouldn't be detrimental to society, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, do you know of any ways that you think could like stop people, or like maybe slow down this problem that we're facing?
I mean, when they're hooked on it, I feel like friends and family can play like a big role in helping like somebody who's addicted to them slow down or stop. Like I feel like more people, like more loved ones, helped that person and motivated them to be a better person, and like didn't just like bash them for taking them, just like helped them and worked with them and made sure they like called and checked on them, little stuff like that, just to let them know that they're fighting with them type stuff.
They're there for them.
Yeah, they're there for them.
Yeah, like just talking to somebody can change a lot. You know what I mean? Like people just don't realize how far a conversation can go. And being there for somebody, some people just need that mental support, because when you feel alone, like you kind of get hopeless when you feel like nobody's out there for you.
That's why some people depend on drugs like that.
So do you feel like opioids, do you feel like this epidemic will ever be solved or will ever slow down?
Well, I feel like since like the pharmacies are kind of like making a lot of money off of it, I feel like the way they're distributing them and stuff like that, I don't think it would probably like slow down. I feel like hopefully a lot of people will just come to their senses, you know, and realize this isn't cool. Like this can really hurt people and mess people up, like even loved ones. Yeah, it's like stuff like that.
Like I feel like with crack, like people, it was a big thing that spread out real fast, then once people seen what was happening, like now, it's not cool to be a crackhead. You feel me? It's not popular to be a crackhead. If someone was gonna tell you, you want to try crack or you want to do crack or he does crack, you wouldn't even go towards that person. If somebody was like, he be popping Xannies or something, he be doing that. It seems like it's so normal that we'll be like, we'll integrate with them like they're regular, because that's just regular now to our society. I feel like if we see what's happening around us, which we do, maybe the stigma and like the rhetoric around it would change, and like the opinions about it will shift more to negative with the young people. Because I feel like with the older people, it's more negative, they see it. But then with the younger generation, how our minds are being influenced, we're coming up. But at the same time, they were the ones rapping about dealing the drugs, you know? The old heads was rapping about dealing the drugs. So who's they dealing them to? Their communities. We're the offspring of what they had. So like, I feel like they can't always look at us. We can't always be the ones looked down upon making the wrong decisions, because we're a direct offspring of what came before us. You feel me?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a misunderstanding with the youth and with the older generation that needs to be filled up too, to understand each other so we can understand how to move forward. Yeah, man, do you have any more input on this subject at all? Do you have any advice to people who are addicted to opioids and do suffer from like an addiction problem?
I feel like I've really got more advice for the people who's thinking about trying it. Like, the only advice like I can give for people who are addicted is like therapy, and like just try to like go, like when you're feeling down or something and it's a nice day outside, just go for like a walk or something. Like little stuff like that. Or talk to your family and friends, you know, make sure you have people around to comfort you. And even the people who think about trying them, I feel like they should like look at better alternatives to do, like, you know, going out with their friends or something. I feel like you don't need stuff like that to have fun. And if you do need stuff like that to have fun, then you should like reevaluate like
what your morals are.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you like? What's your advice on somebody avoiding giving into peer pressure?
You made it this far, don't even do it.
Really? Yeah. So what if your friends are like trying to encourage you to do some stuff? Does it have to? You feel like you can keep friends that try to push you to do stuff that's crazy? Like say if some friends were trying to push you to take this type of pill, and they're kind of pushing that onto you, like pushing it onto you. Do you feel like you distance yourself from them, or do you think like we should just make boundaries with each other early?
I feel like if anybody's doing that and just making you try it just to try it, and they know you don't want to really try it, and then you're not really friends. I feel like y'all shouldn't really be friends. Like, you should just like, you shouldn't be around them type of people. Another thing about opioids, I know a lot of people who got hooked on some opioids just from having like a toothache or something like that, and didn't have Tylenol. They had like
really
Percocets,
like fast?
Yes, like just like a Percocet. Like, I know somebody who like tooth was hurting, and they started taking them, and ever since then he's just been taking them because he fell in love with that feeling of them.
And so like, I feel like a lot of this just has to do with the mind. It's mind over matter in most cases. And I feel like if people can grow, or if we implement or look at new ideas and try to treat them like, we have to treat the people with these addictions, that we have to let them know that we're not like against them. We don't hate them as a general public. We don't look down on them, but we want to help because it's not healthy. So we encourage everybody suffering from any type of drug addiction, whether it be opioid, whether it be anything else, you know, to go get help. Alcohol, anything, tobacco, go get help or seek peace of mind. And I think we will see progression in the future. Hopefully anybody listening to this can take away something from it.
And even like looking up alternatives on the internet, like healthier decisions, that should help.
Yeah, we have Google, we have the world at our fingertips. it's just a matter of you going out there, putting the effort in to find the answers that you need to problems you have. We have unlimited information, so there's always something out there for you. I want to thank you, Jaden, for partaking in this podcast. I want to thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
No problem, man. We'll have you again soon. You guys, everybody be safe. Remember, it's mind over matter.
And stay sober.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.